Hey guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. My name is Laura, for those of you that do not know, and today I'm going to be giving you guys some more romance recommendations. Of course, if you guys have been watching my channel recently, you might have been noticing that I've been doing videos kind of themed around one general trope, and I've been trying to work through all of you guys's and my favorite romance tropes. So for today's video, we're going to be talking about enemies to lovers. I asked you guys on Twitter, and I always ask you guys on Twitter to vote for your favorite trope, and this won by like a landslide. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I do just want to say really quickly, I know I do a lot of recommendations videos, and I'm sure that if you watch them all, a lot of these books are going to look familiar to you guys. So if you read all of them, I'm so sorry. I'm constantly reading new books for you guys so that I can recommend them. And if you guys have more favorites that I don't mention in this video, of course let me know down below so then I can inform even more people about them. But I'm always constantly reading new books, trying to find new stuff to recommend to you guys. So just be patient with me. I can't just read 1,000 books in a month so I can have brand new recommendations, but I'm trying to vary it up a little bit, so I hope you guys realize that. I love you all very much, and I'm excited to share these recommendations with you all. The first book that I'm going to share with you guys is actually the first of a longer series. The first book is called 3 Simple Rules by Nikki Sloan. This is a series that I just like randomly discovered, and I read the whole series so quick. The first one has to do with this girl who works at like a company where she does design, and she just has this absolute hatred for her boss. He's constantly like undermining her, making her look bad, even though she knows that she's really talented, and it just makes her so mad. She does not like him at all. I don't want to spoil the book for you guys, but I think it's worth mentioning that this whole series, including the first book, is kind of based around this place that the front of it is like, it's supposed to be like this exclusive like wine members club, but it's actually a bunch of sex workers who get paid for sex basically, and it's totally illegal, and like people don't really know about it, but that's like a really big part of the series and kind of where a lot of the characters come from. Every single book follows a different couple, and so this first couple is the girl and the guy from The Office, but that kind of goes into play later. Again, I don't want to spoil it, but this series, it's like super crazy. A lot happens in it, and this first book is just like really shocking, and it's really fun too. Like if you just want something that's like not that serious, this is a great series for you. So I definitely recommend this first book. Next book I want to recommend for you guys is called Savior. This is by Fiona Cole, and it's actually a part of a series. I think it's the 3rd book, or it might be the 4th, but I think it's the 3rd. In the Voyeur series, this is a series that I read very recently and highly enjoyed. This follows a girl who lives with her sister. They live at like a trailer park. They have nothing. Her sister has this boyfriend, and they're just always doing drugs. They don't care about her at all, and so she decides to go online and basically put herself for sale. Like she's like, I'll have a night where I'll sleep with somebody, like I'm gonna give away my virginity, and she's just like so desperate. She doesn't realize at the time that what she's doing is like super unsafe and crazy, so she just puts herself online like that, and somebody responds and they're like, yes, meet me at this hotel. Turns out the guy that has made the arrangement to go and meet her at the hotel is actually somebody whose kind of like passion project is protecting people from sex trafficking. He had something happen in his past life that made him super sensitive to sex trafficking, and it's something that he's very passionate about. And so basically he goes to meet this girl, realizes that she's just like strapped for money. He's so mean to her, like he doesn't like her at all because he thinks she's so dumb. However, because he is so sensitive to people that are sold into sex trafficking and he doesn't want that to happen to her again, he allows her to come and stay with him. So he doesn't like her. He's really mean to her, in fact, but that's how it happens. That's how it starts off, and then the book progresses from there. I know you guys are supposed fans of the enemies to lovers trope, but when I tell you that he's like mean to her, like he is ruthless. So I was like kind of shocked by that, but I still ended up really loving the book. I love the whole series in general, and I need to recommend all of those books to you guys because they're so good, but I will talk about those more in more videos later on. But this book is really great, and I highly recommend it. The next book is Sweet Little Thing by Abby Glines, and this is actually a 3-book series, and I would recommend reading all 3 of the books because they're like extremely short. You could definitely read them all in the span of like reading one regular sized book. So this is definitely an enemies to lovers book. However, there's so many plot twists and so many crazy things that happen that I don't really want to tell you much about it. But it starts off with this girl who's just looking to get a job somewhere. She ends up finding her way to this mansion, and she ends up working at this mansion doing work like in the kitchen and cleaning and just like anything she can do. There's a boy who lives at the mansion, and he has a best friend who just totally hates her. And yeah, I just want you guys to read it because I don't want to spoil anything, and like it gets kind of spoilery if I start explaining too much. So I just want you guys to go check it out. Trust me, this is a really fun one, really crazy, lots happens in it, but a really fast read. You could probably read this in literally a sitting, so I highly recommend it. I have 2 V. Keelan books to recommend. The first one is Bossman. This is a book that starts off with a girl who's on this date. I believe she met this guy like on a dating app or something, and she goes into the hallway near the bathrooms to call her friend and like complain about how horrible the date is. And while she's over there, she sees this guy who basically says that she's like super mean for doing that, and it's like so uncalled for, which she's like, why are you judging me? You don't even know me. And she goes back over to her date, and then this guy comes over to them and acts like he knows her and like sits with them and starts like telling pretend stories about like, oh, when they were younger and like their family friends and like random stuff, just to like embarrass her and like make her stay there. And it's like super weird actually, but that's what happens. She literally just wants to leave at this rate, and finally she does in hopes that she never sees either of the guys again. However, about a month later, she ends up at a new job, and her boss is none other than her old family friend who she met at the restaurant, and she's not pleased about it, but she can't really do anything about it at that rate, and so she stays at this job, and the book kind of explores what goes on from there. I think it's more of like a one-way hatred. I mean, enemies to lovers can be like really intense, like actual enemies, or it can just kind of be like a hate to love type of deal. That's kind of more what I'm talking about, but this is kind of one-sided. Like he's just kind of like infatuated with her and thinks it's like really funny, and she's like genuinely irritated by him. But this book is so great. I really love it. The other book that I recommend is Stuck Up Sue, which I think is probably my favorite V. Keelan book. This is about a girl who one day is on the train, and there's this guy in a suit, and he's on the phone, and he's just like so annoying, so irritating, barking orders at whoever's on the other line, and she's immediately turned off by him. But when he goes to leave the train, he accidentally leaves his phone behind, so she takes it upon herself to grab the phone in hopes of bringing it to him later on, and she does that. He's irritating again. She's like not surprised by it, but they keep having these meetings, and it just kind of stems from their relationship. If you guys have heard me recommend V. Keelan before, you know that I always say her books seem like super surface level, like, oh, like she meets this boy and this happens, but there's always something crazy, like some type of plot twist or just something that's like unimaginable that happens in her books that just make it so much more interesting and just grab you and you like can't stop reading. So these 2 books definitely have that element, so I highly recommend them for that reason, just because they're super enticing, great to read, fast-paced. You guys are gonna love them. Next up is one of my all-time favorites, and that is Room Hate by Penelope Ward. This is a book about 2 people who were initially really close. They grew up together, had a lot of fond memories together, but ended up having a falling out of sorts, and they end up both inheriting this beach house that I think one of their grandmas had. The other one was like super close with the grandma as well, so she gave them basically like split ownership of this beach house. And so the girl ends up going to the beach house for the summer to find out that he is also there, and he's with his girlfriend or fiance, I think it's his girlfriend, and she's so irritated by it. He's so mean to her, she's mean back, and they just have this like back and forth bickering thing going on, but they have to live together because they both own this beach house and neither of them is about to leave, so they end up staying there together. With this book, there's so much more beyond just that synopsis, kind of similarly to the V. Keelan. There's a lot more to it, but that's kind of the basis of it, and they definitely have that enemies to lovers feel, even though it kind of started as like friends to enemies to lovers, but those books are always kind of more interesting, I think, because there's a lot of backstory to explore. So highly recommend this one if you've not read it yet. Everybody tells me they love this book when they read it, so you should check it out. A book that's kind of similar is Bully by Penelope Douglas. This is a book also about 2 people who were best friends, had some type of falling out, and then ended up kind of having this hatred towards one another. It's more like the guy comes back from his like summer break with his dad, and he just can't stand her, and he's so mean to this main girl, and so she kind of is just like, what's up with that? Like, I don't understand why he's being this way, like we used to be best friends. And so senior year comes around and she's like, I'm so sick of dealing with him, I'm gonna finally fight back. And so it's basically like them senior year of high school, this really pent up aggression that they have towards each other, enemies to lovers. Super, super good. This is also a series. The first book follows these two characters though, and I highly recommend it. It's very similar to Room Hate in that way, but they are a little bit younger, and I love this one. It's a really fun read and super fast paced as well. Another one of my favorites is Top Secret by Elle Kennedy and Serena Bowen. This is kind of enemies to lovers. It's a little bit more confusing and complex, but this book basically follows two frat brothers who are both kind of like up against each other to be the president of the frat house for their senior year, and so they're constantly going at each other's throats, like don't like each other at all, and this is like an established thing, like people know that they're always fighting. But there's like a whole other layer to this story where one of the boys has a girlfriend, and for her birthday she asks him if they can have a threesome, and so he gets this app basically where you find like hookups, and he finds a guy on the app who's interested in having a threesome with them, and they start talking, and he finds himself getting really, really interested in this guy the more he talks to him, and obviously the guy is his fraternity brother, but he has no idea. And so the story kind of goes from there. This is definitely like enemies to lovers, but it's really confusing because they don't even know it's each other until they do, and it's just like so much happens. But this is literally one of my favorite books. I love it so much. I just think there's constantly things going on. I love books that anticipate like a huge reveal of something and you just know it's coming the whole time. Like those are my favorites, so I highly recommend if you're also into that. Next on my list is Wicked Lies Boys Tell by Kay Webster. This is also kind of similar to Room Hate and Bully, where it's two boys who grew up as really, really close best friends. Something happened that made them have a falling out, and then they end up kind of coming back together and becoming friends again. So it's kind of like the enemies part we don't see a ton of, but we kind of hear about it. But they become friends again, and their relationship kind of stems from there. I really love this book. It reminds me a lot of Him by Elle Kennedy and Serena Bowen, which I really love. I just didn't think that was like enemies to lovers enough to include. So I think Wicked Lies Boys Tell is definitely a second to that one as one of my favorites. So if you've not read it, or if you've only read Him, I really recommend it. I feel like I don't hear a lot of people talk about this book, and I think it deserves more recognition, so definitely check it out. The last book on my list is Paper Princess by Erin Watt. This is actually a series called The Royals. However, in the first book, we're met with this girl who's, I think, 17 years old. She's in high school, and she just has like the worst luck ever. Basically, her dad died when she was younger, and then she has a single mom who also passes away. In an effort to just kind of keep her life as normal as possible, weirdly enough, she decides to get this job as a stripper to keep money coming in and just hope that nobody figures out about her mom. But eventually she's at the strip club one day, and this man comes in who she's never met in her life. He claims that he used to be friends with her father before he passed, and that it's his responsibility to take her in and provide for her. She's really hesitant at first, but at the same time, this guy is like really clearly wealthy. She has nothing, so she goes with him. And this guy has a lot of sons, I think like 5 or 6 sons that live with him, and she is met with a bunch of hatred because they're like, why is this girl coming into our house? Like, we don't want her here, basically. None of them like her, but eventually one of them starts to like her, and there's totally that hatred to love. Like, this is like one of the most prominent enemies to lovers books, I think, on this list. Like, the hatred is like super, super hatred. So if you're into that, I think you'll like this one. This series is filled with plot twists and crazy things that happen, so if you're into that as well, definitely a book that you should check out. So guys, those are my enemies to lovers book recommendations. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found at least one new book to read and add to your TBR. If not, if you've read every single book on this list, I'm very impressed by you, and I promise to have more recommendation videos coming out soon. You should definitely go follow me on my Twitter and Instagram, because I'm constantly asking you guys to vote for what my next video topic should be. So if you want to be included in that, you should definitely follow me. But other than that, make sure you subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and give this video a thumbs up if you have not. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you all very, very soon. Bye.